Hi, okay, I'm going to carry on the A to Z of HTML, try and get it all finished. We're going to cover E, F and I today. Okay, there's not that many, so I've tried to compact them all into one tutorial. I'm going to try and avoid using frames. I'm not going to talk about frames, mainly because I hate them. They are useful for some people, but if you know how to use CSS and JavaScript and all this kind of technology, you can actually avoid frames quite a lot, and I don't find them useful at all, and they do cause some issues. Okay, so I'm going to not talk about frames. Alright, anyway, the first thing we can do on our list is if I just put in some text. This is some text that needs to be emphasized. So what we can do is there's lots of different ways of doing this. There's the term italic, which I'll do in a minute. Actually, I'll do it while I'm talking about it at the same time, so I'm going to copy that and just paste it onto another line, put a break, and actually we'll put it in P's. I'm going to close the P there, open the P, paragraph, I should say paragraph, not P. Okay, do the same there. Okay, so all we have is we've got two. I'm going to put italicized, I don't know how to spell. Is that right? Italicized. Okay. So there's two ways of doing this. Okay, emphasized, which means if I do that, and then put that at the end, and then if I do this, and then put the close at the end, what we have is a result which basically is the same. Yeah. So it's a bit like having strong and bold. Yeah. On the actual term, if you want to embolden something, this is the same but in italicized. Okay, that's two things we can do. Next thing, it's a little bit more complicated. I'm going to talk about a few whilst we're in the process. The first part of this is I'm going to have to talk about is the form. Okay, what we have inside Dreamweaver is this option here on our list called Forms. I'm going to use this just to make life a little bit easier for myself instead of programming everything. First thing you have to do when you create a form, this is basically something that may want to interact with a server. So you may want to send a form to an email address, or you may want to receive data from the server to put information onto your web page. You have to create a form. Okay. So what we have to do is to actually build that first, and the first thing you need to do is click on this button to make a form. It goes through the general process. I'm going to show you how to make it. Say, for instance, if it's a we can just put mail.php, for instance, there. That basically runs a script that then sends the form to a given email address. Okay, and we're going to call this AZ form or something. Okay, press OK. What it does, which you may not, it's just a bit like a div actually, but it's an actual reddy orangey colour that basically gets put onto your web page. That's invisible when it gets rendered onto a web page, but it is a container that holds everything to do with your form. What I'm going to do quickly is just place in a couple of text, well, one for text field actually. Let's say, for instance, you want to make it so somebody puts their name in. Okay. Okay. There's your text field. Okay. What we can do, actually, that's another thing we have to talk about later, which is the input. This type of box, when you actually have to click on something, it's called an input box. Okay, and that's where it puts input. So we're going to talk about forms, input, and finally we're going to talk about one other thing. You'll notice what we have is obviously this box, like I said. If you want to, and you want to group it as a section of, like for instance, a contact form, you can actually give it a little legend or a title. And the way you do this is if you scroll down on this options here, it says field set. Okay, so what you can do is create a legend like that. Okay, and let's just cancel it. Let's just select that just in case it's going to do that as the actual field set. Contact page, say. What you can do then is to do this, alright? You'll notice it's added it to my form, okay? Which means when I need to do is actually take that and put it inside my form, else it doesn't work. So I think I need to put it there, okay? And then I need to actually put the field set inside the form there. So let's see if that works. So fine, save. See what it does is it puts a box around your form and then it gives it a heading. Okay, this is your field set, and you can obviously then add lots of other elements there, and that's your input, and you can type something in. Okay, obviously nothing's going to work at the moment because I haven't got a submit button. Plus it's a server-side script, so you have to wait until you have a PHP link to it on your server, and then it'll post anything you want from a contact page. But I just wanted to show you what that looks like. Okay. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is use another term, which is, if you use CSS a lot, you don't tend to need this some text needs to size changed. So I'm just going to tell you, just in case you do try to build websites and not use CSS, you can use a term to make the actual text size a little bit different in the actual size it needs to be. There's other ways of doing it, I'll show you that in a minute. But if you just type in the word font, and then for instance put size equals, and then put in, let me see, it's got a list of the things you can have. You can have either smaller or bigger. Okay, like so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 2, and then close that, and obviously close the tag at the other end. Like so. What that should do is it should make it either smaller or bigger. Okay, it's a little bit similar to what you do with the heading text. For instance, if I now change this to say 5, refresh it, you see it's become bigger. Okay, so that's an option you can do with font, and you can obviously also then add extra options like color equals red, like so, and the text will change red. Okay, so that's your font definition. But as I said, if you use CSS a lot, which you should be doing in modern web design, you won't probably use that at all. Okay, but I thought I'd show you it. Okay, the next one down, as I said, there's a list of heading options, which means you can make your headings bigger or smaller. Okay, I'm going to go through each one of them. They're numbered 1 to 6. Right, so I'm just going to put heading 1. What I'm going to do now is just copy this. As I said, there's 6. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Click on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change those. So, and then just change the names to correspond. What these do is it gives you options, and obviously again in CSS, if you want to, you can make lots of different style changes with this. But it gives you the option to quickly put in different sized texts. Okay, for instance, if I do this and then refresh, you'll notice heading 1 is very big, and it goes all the way down to heading 6, which is very small. That's the same as basically what we did up here with font size, putting plus or minus or just different variables. And you'll probably find that these font sizes change according to... The next part of the A to Z is quite simple. Once you've made a document and declared it in Dreamweaver, for instance, you've got your doc type, it also creates a section at the top which is invisible inside your actual design, called the head section. What you do in your head section is you put the title of your web page, like for instance you'll see here it says A to Z of HTML. Also what you can add here is linking for CSS, JavaScript, and also put inside internal CSS styling or internal JavaScript Okay, and that's basically a container where you can put interactive elements to your web page and also add what's called metadata, which we'll talk about when we get to M. Okay, so this is your head section just there. Okay, next on the list, I'll go down to the design section. Underneath there, I'm gonna, let's say for instance you want to break a piece of text up. Say for instance I put P again. This is one section. Close it. P. This is another section. Close it. Now say for instance we have those two pieces of text right there, and you want to make it so it's distinct and you have a line between them. What you can do is use what's known as a horizontal rule or horizontal line, and the way we create this using HTML, XHTML, sorry, is use this option like so. What that does is it just instantly puts a line across your page 100% of the width. Okay, like so, if you can see it. I'll just save that and show you inside Safari, like so. You see there's this big line across the page. You can, if you want to, style this in CSS again by adding classes and IDs and whatever. You can even add pictures to it and whatever. Okay, that's one way, and we'll talk about that when we get to the CSS styling tutorials. Okay, so that's your horizontal rule. Okay, next, again, I don't have to do anything. Once you've done your setup of your HTML page, you'll notice what happens is once you've got your, like I say, your doc type sorted out, it also declares something called a HTML. This is like, for instance, here as we're using XHTML, it defines it as XHTML and gives you a link to the appropriate page on the World Wide Web's consortium. Okay, this is also then closed at the bottom. Okay, the only thing that's outside your HTML section is your doc type, so it defines it as HTML public. Okay, instead of secure. Okay, so that's your HTML section under H. Next on the list, as I said before, we've done one part of the eyes, which is the italic, just here, if you want to italicize something. Alright, next, this is a little bit confusing, is what's known as an iframe. An iframe is a window that you can add. It's a bit like a frame, but it's an interactive frame, so you can place it wherever you want to. And it contains a second element or a second web page. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can try and do it based on one that I have on my desktop, and see if I can find the link for you so I can quickly see. I've got my HTML there. What I want to do is to go into this one and put the font change one. Okay, so you can see this index page. See if I can get it to work. So what you do is you put iframe like so. Then what you need to do is put source like so. And what I can do quickly is to browse. Okay, it allows you to then open up your search option, which takes a little bit of time on my Mac. We then go to desktop, go to font change, choose that, and choose it. Okay, notice it's put it into the place, and then what you can do is to give it a size. Okay, so basically you put height equals, let's say make it 300, width equals 300. Let's just make it a little box. I think in XHTML you don't need to put the quotes in anymore, but I'm just going to put it in. Okay, like so. Alright, refresh that. You notice nothing's appearing because we haven't closed the actual information yet. And because what you need to do is your browser doesn't support iframes, and we just close that like so. I've missed a close option somewhere. Iframe source, height, width. I thought I did something wrong, but it's popped in and it's actually showing the right colour coding. Okay, so you've got a width and a height of 300 and it's got this index in there. There's your box. It won't show you actual HTML wire there because it doesn't do a auto update on Dreamweaver for iframes. I'm going to save that and just show you what happens inside. Inside Safari. It takes a little bit of time to load because I'm actually loading a document that has embedded text. But you'll notice you'll see a shadowing area, and it actually contains the HTML that I designed into the thing. If you have a scrolly bar, it'll show that as well. Okay, so they are useful. You'll see them a lot on internet sites because you can make it so that text can scroll up. You can make it so it's a newsreader that goes scrolling sideways, whatever. So they are useful. Okay, and obviously you can then style them all inside CSS as well. That's an iframe. Alright, going to go back to Dreamweaver. Okay, so next on the list is image. This is quite simple. You'll notice also on common on this list here, it does have, I'm going to hide that for a second. It does have image. You can just place in an image. I'll do that easily because it's the best way to do it. Okay. You have to learn how to type it though when you're doing HTML, obviously. I don't know if I've actually got any small images inside. No, I didn't do screenshot. Right, let's say for instance we want to add this screenshot. Okay, give it some text. Put lemon. Okay. What it does is it adds your image to your web page, like so. Yeah. As you can see, it's stuck next to my iframe, so I'm just going to break that line so we can actually have it on a separate line. So that's my image in place. Okay, and you'll notice it gives you the image tag. Okay, you notice there's no end tag because it's using the XHTML ending option, which is this. Okay, what it does is when you do it automatically inside Dreamweaver, it gives you all the sourcing, the width, the height, and the alt, etc., etc. If you're doing it by hand, obviously you have to type all these in. Okay, because every picture is not embedded; it's actually a link, and this is the linking of information. Okay, so that's image. Last one. I'm just going to make it. No, I'll do it as a paragraph again. Let's close it. This is some text with one error and insert piece of text. Now what you can do, I've showed you this before when we did the delete option under text, is you can say for instance you want one error as a delete text, you can do that, like so, close it. And if you want the insert piece, what you can do is you type it in basically ins, like so, and then do that, close it. What this does is it allows you to do two types of information. Okay, I'll just show you this inside. That's my image. You see, here's some text, and when you do a delete, it basically does a cut through. Okay, and if you do some insert text, it gives you underline, so it gives you the impression that this needs to be inserted into where it says deleted text. Just a bit of text styling, basically. But that's all your A to Z for that section, which is E through to I. Okay, more coming up.